Good morning. I just hit that camera kind of hard. Hi, I'm Hillary. I'm Hillary Dawn Herrera. This is my husband. He's parked next to me. I am parked outside the garage, so I have some lighting. I did just finish my workout for the day. None of you wanted to know that. Okay, so I was just talking to my husband. We run about 5 businesses together, actually, all in all. And I was like, what should I do biz talk about today? Because, I like talk in the salon and I come home and talk to him about the things we talked about. That's his truck. It's real life going on. And a topic that keeps coming up that he's like, why don't you talk about that, is downtime. And normally that is like, why are you talking about downtime when we're talking about business? You guys, you have to refresh. And I think it's particularly hard in the beauty business because hopefully you really enjoy what you do. And although we preach like it's not a hobby, it's a career, that can bite us in the behind sometimes because we like what we do, right? So because we like what we do, we sometimes don't put it away. And now that we have beautiful things like social media, I'm talking like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I mean, what else am I missing? Snapchat. I feel like they're LinkedIn. Anyway, there's so many, right? And we have these beautiful phones that are literally a remote to the entire world. We could work around the clock, and that can be really advantageous when it needs to be, but it also can drain us. So like I'm not huge on like all these different, but like Stephen Covey, I haven't read a ton of his books, but I know some of his principles and I've attended some seminar things on it. I'm big on like personal growth stuff, but I like to do it on my own terms. So I prefer reading books, internalizing, discussing with my clients. I also, by the way, think that's huge, and a whole other thing about bettering yourself, having things to talk about, because that's part of building a clientele. But aside from that, we'll save that for another day. He talks about sharpening the saw. And that's essentially downtime. Or you've heard people talk about filling your cup up so you have something to give. The reason they talk about it, the reason why these really successful people talk about it, is because it actually takes effort to do it. It takes planning to do it, or we will continue to work ourselves to exhaustion. And then you can't give anybody anything, so it doesn't do anybody any good. So, planning downtime. I have some very successful clients who really enhance my life, who I have these discussions with about this. And I'm like, I notice I'm doing, like Quinn will come down to hang out with me. Quinn's my husband, at the end of the night. And I'll be like, oh, did you do this for business and this for business? And he's like, and he'll answer and then he'll like go do something else. Cause I think he's in downtime and my brain's still like going. So I've made a huge effort. So I was talking to my client who also runs another business, and she talks about how she sets her boundaries. So a couple things to tell yourself, whether you tell yourself you're sharpening your saw, you're filling your cup. I love Brandy Brown, you guys. She's amazing. She's a researcher, and she talks about it like boundaries, how important boundaries are, and clear is kind. You need to set those boundaries for yourself too when it comes to being in the beauty business and texting clients and trying to work your social media and trying to better yourself. So listen to me here when I say boundaries are really important. So my client says her boundary is her physical place she's at. So when they're at work, because she also works with her husband, so this is helpful, but whether you do or don't, or you're single, it doesn't matter. But when she's at work is when she'll answer messages, she'll do emails, they'll talk about work. When they're at home, they never discuss work. I thought that was interesting. It takes a real amount of self-control, but she says it really enhances their personal lives, right? And they're allowed to have their family life separate from work. So there's a good idea. Mine I've come up with, and it's been really tricky lately because we're opening our other salon, is time. I kind of try to do a cutoff time that I don't do it anymore. But that's really hard because I at night can get like really rolling, right? And even the other day, if you're following my Instagram, which you should, I show So much cool stuff there. So much free cool stuff there. It's just Hillary Dawn Herrera. 1L in Hillary. What was I saying? Oh, that between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is when business people are out doing things. That's true. Like, that's when we can access our salons and change things around and do things and adjust things if we need to. That happens, right? So there's certain responsibility when you're running your own business, where sometimes this doesn't always work. But other days I try to around 8, like, shut it down. That's my thing. A time at 8 p.m. is kind of my thing. But honestly, with the salon, we shut down answering phones and things close at 6. So if a message comes in after that, it'll have to be answered in the morning. Because we have these phones, I'm going like this because I'm recording on my phone, these remotes to the world, we tend to think if a text comes in or something, we have to immediately be available. And the flip side of that is if we send a text, we are frustrated if somebody doesn't immediately respond. So listen to me when I say you don't have the right to anybody's time. And they don't have the right to your time. So if somebody doesn't respond immediately, they might be out living their life, or you may have cut in on times that they just aren't even, like, we like physically don't have the salon phone inside our home after 6 p.m. because that's our cutoff time. So I guess we have a physical boundary there and a time boundary. So use those to your benefit. And honestly, it means we come back at things way refreshed, way sharper. Now, I'm one of those list people where if what I'm talking about drives you crazy and you're like, I just need to get it done. I understand that. I'm so sorry, by the way. There's so many noises going on around me. You probably heard my car fan. Now you're hearing like my neighbor do his trimmer. But please tell me that you're humans too and this happens. And I feel like there's so much good stuff here. I don't want to record again and miss what we're talking about. But if you're one of those list people where you're like, if I take care of it now, it'll just be done. I will just open up my calendar, and for the next morning, I put a note of those things I need to address. And then I'll even put an alert if I'm really worried. And then I just go to my calendar every morning. And that way it's off my brain, but it's getting done. So anything after 8 p.m., I try to do that. So that's helpful. So downtime is really important. And then the other thing is if you think, hey, maybe we should go on a vacation for fall break or something, book it then, or you won't go. Especially with calendars and stuff, you got to block it out in our beauty business. So hopefully that's helpful. I am here to tell you it's huge. Sometimes we'll get an Airbnb and we don't do anything. And I feel kind of that guilty, that overproductive person in me is like, I could be doing so much, but truly I kind of relax a little bit, and the plan of doing nothing really refreshes me. Maybe the plan of going out and boating really refreshes you, or mountain biking, get into nature. That's huge. Maybe just like snuggle up in a cabin somewhere, or maybe it's a staycation and you shut everything down, but you tell everybody you're gone. One thing I used to do when I was driving to work, I lived in a different county than where I worked at one point, is I would change my voicemail every morning. And every morning it would say, hey, because I'd be with clients all day, right? Hey, it's Wednesday. I hope you're having a great day. Tonight I'll be returning calls between the hours of 6 and 7 p.m. And so let me know anything you need. That's when text wasn't huge, so it was a lot of voicemails. So that might be a little outdated now. I don't know. It depends how you function. But your clients kind of learn, your friends kind of learn. Another thing I would do when it hit a weekend that I wasn't going into work, I would change my voicemail to, hey, I'm out of town. I'll return your calls all Monday at this time. That was advice I got from a client who ran a very successful real estate business, and it gave her a boundary, and it was clear. It's that clear as kind thing from Brandy Brown that people are like, okay, I can expect to hear back from her between these times, and then you can choose if you get to them sooner or something like that. Anyway, this was a longer one. I just want to start a discussion. I want to know your thoughts on this, but please plan some downtime for yourself so that your business can excel. It's a true thing. It really works. So have a fantastic day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for, what are we on? We're on YouTube. So it's subscribing, not following, sharing. I appreciate it all. Thank you for accepting me in the raw. You know, this is morning right after a workout. This is what I have available to give, but I feel like giving this valuable information and sometimes validating that, hey, you'll come back sharper is you need a friend. Sometimes you need a friend to take the phone and say, hey, you need a minute. So take a minute, enjoy your day, comment below your thoughts. I really appreciate you. We'll see you later.